Hi kids, I am here with your children's Bible story. We are on the second part, or second story from the book, and it is the first people. We're going to talk about the first people who were on the earth. And this is what the Bible says about it, a little part of it. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And that is in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, chapter 2, verse 17. See, God put all these trees in the garden. He made a perfect garden for the people to live in. And He just told them not to eat of this one certain tree. But as you see, we'll see that they did. They disobeyed God. Let me get into the story for you guys. On the sixth day of the creation, God made a man from the dust of the ground. He called his name Adam. Now Adam was different from the rest of the things God had created because he was made in God's own image, which means we are made like God looks like us. He made us in His image to look like Himself. This meant that Adam was somewhat like God Himself, not nearly so good and great and powerful, but more so than any other things God had made, even more so than the angels. Because of this, Adam was higher than the animals and able to rule over them. God even let Adam name all the different kinds of animals and birds that he found in his new earth home. Perhaps as Adam searched for the animals, naming them, he noticed that all the creatures that lived around him had others of their own kind to be with. This made him feel alone and lonesome. We know that God did see that Adam needed a helper, so one day He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. While Adam was asleep, God took one of his ribs and from it made a woman to be with Adam. When Adam woke up, he was very happy to find the woman. He called her Eve. In a place called Eden, God made an especially beautiful garden to be a home for Adam and Eve. Friendly animals of every sort lived in its woods and fields, and birds sang lovely songs from the tops of the trees. 4 rivers flowed through the garden and caused many different kinds of plants to grow. The most unusual of these plants were 2 very special trees that stood in the middle of the garden, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was Adam's job to take care of this garden, and in return he and Eve were free to live there and to eat of the luscious fruits and vegetables that were growing there. God gave them only one rule to follow, only one rule. They were not to eat from the tree of knowledge. What a happy life this couple had. All they knew was good. God had given them only one rule to follow. As yet there was no sickness nor wrong, nor sadness in the world. Even as far back as the time as Adam and Eve, the devil was working against God and the good that God wanted man to do. Satan tried to figure out a plan that would make Adam and Eve do wrong. One day he appeared in their garden home, disguised as a serpent, which is a snake, and tried to persuade them to eat from the tree that God had forbidden. Did God tell you not to eat of any certain tree in the garden? He cunningly asked. Eve answered, We can eat from every tree here except the tree of knowledge. And God had told us not to touch its fruit or we would die. Oh, you would not die, said the devil, trying to fool them. Actually, it will make you as wise as God is, and you will be able to understand things as He does." Foolish Eve believed what the serpent told her, and she took some of the fruit from the tree and ate it. Then she gave some to Adam, and he ate it also. Immediately they knew they had done wrong, and began trying to hide from God. Of course, Adam and Eve were not able to hide from God, for He always knew about everything we do. It made Him very angry to think that Adam and Eve had disobeyed the one rule that He had given them. He was disappointed that they had believed the devil instead of Him. He was so upset that He sent them away from the garden. He told them that they would have to work very hard, that they would have trouble and sickness, and that one day they would die. If only this first couple had chosen to do right instead of wrong, these terrible things might not have ever come into the world today. Even though God had to punish Adam and Eve, He still loved His creation, and He promised then that someday He would save mankind. We know that He did this when He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, into the world. Through Him, God can forgive men for the wrong they have done. And then we can be saved if we accept Jesus into our hearts, and we can spend eternity in heaven with God. And here is the picture of the angels sending Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden because they disobeyed the one rule that God gave them. They had it so good in the Garden of Eden, and God only gave them one rule, just one rule to follow, and they disobeyed Him and believed the devil instead. So that was today's story, the first people. Our next story from the book will be Two Offerings, which will get into talking about Adam and Eve's first children, Cain and Abel. And they have a story all their own. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's true story from the Bible. I hope you guys have a great day, kids. And God willing, I'll see you kids again soon with another Bible story. Good night, little ones. God bless you all.